The air in our tiny apartment hung thick with the scent of cheap takeout and unspoken dread. My stomach churned, a lead weight mirroring the cold dread pooling in my gut. Chloe, my wife of 3 blissful, chaotic weeks, sat hunched over the kitchen table, her face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Crumpled tissues littered the scratched laminate like fallen snow. On the screen of her laptop, illuminated in the dim evening light, glowed the damning evidence, a bank statement. A single, massive, unauthorized withdrawal. $10,000. Gone. Vanished from the joint savings account we'd painstakingly built, penny by precious penny, specifically earmarked for the honeymoon we'd been dreaming of since our engagement. Not just any honeymoon. A month exploring the ancient ruins and sun-drenched coast of Greece. Our escape, our adventure, our beginning. It's her, Chloe choked out, her voice raw, muffled against her palms. It has to be. Who else? I knew who she meant. Diane, Chloe's mother. The woman who'd welcomed me into the family with a smile that never quite reached her eyes, whose compliments always felt like veiled critiques, whose presence seemed to suck the oxygen out of any room she entered. I'd tried, God knows I'd tried, to see the good in her, for Chloe's sake. But this was beyond the pale. Are you sure, sweetheart? Maybe it's a bank error? Fraud. My words sounded hollow, even to me. Hope was a fragile, dying thing in that moment. Chloe lifted her head, her eyes red-rimmed, burning with a fury I'd never seen before. It was terrifying and mesmerizing. No error, Mark. Look. She stabbed a trembling finger at the screen. See the timestamp? 2 days ago, right after she called, just to check in. She mimicked her mother's saccharine tone, then her voice cracked again. And look at the recipient. Luxury Consignment Limited, that's where she gets her things. Her things. Diane's collection of designer handbags was legendary, a shrine to conspicuous consumption housed in a specially fitted closet. Each bag was a trophy, a status symbol wielded like a weapon. She'd once spent 20 minutes at our engagement dinner lecturing Chloe on the investment potential of a limited edition Birkin, completely ignoring the fact that Chloe and I were both drowning in student loans and barely scraping by on entry-level salaries. The memory curdled my blood. $10,000. Our Greece money. Our future memories. Sacrificed on the altar of Diane's vanity. The sheer, unadulterated selfishness of it stole my breath. What bag costs $10,000? I whispered, the question tasting like ash. Chloe let out a harsh, broken laugh. Who knows? A vintage Chanel? A crocodile Hermes? Does it even matter? She took our money. She stole our dream. She slammed her fist on the table, making the laptop jump. She knew, Mark. She knew what that account was for. We talked about it constantly. She even had the nerve to ask me for details about the islands we were booking, probably just to rub it in later. The rage radiating off Chloe was palpable, a physical force. I moved to her side, wrapping my arms around her rigid frame. She leaned into me, but the fire in her eyes didn't dim. It burned hotter. We have to confront her, I said, the words heavy with inevitability. Tonight. Chloe nodded, a sharp, decisive movement. Tonight. And Mark? She looked up at me, her expression hardening into something cold and determined. This changes everything. She's done. The drive to Diane's impeccably manicured suburban mansion felt like a journey to the gallows. The silence in the car was thick, charged with Chloe's simmering fury and my own rising nausea. The contrast between our cramped apartment and Diane's sprawling estate, all manicured lawns and twinkling landscape lighting, was a visceral punch in the gut. This was where our honeymoon money went. To fund this, Diane opened the door, a picture of surprised concern. Chloe, Mark, what a lovely surprise. Is everything all right? You look upset. Her gaze swept over Chloe's tear-streaked face and my grim expression, a flicker of something, calculation, quickly masked by practiced maternal worry. Cut the crap, Diane. Chloe spat, pushing past her into the cavernous marble foyer. The air smelled of expensive perfume and lemon polish. Where is it? Diane feigned ignorance, placing a hand on her chest. Where's what, darling? You're not making sense. The bag, Chloe snarled, turning to face her mother. The $10,000 bag you bought with our honeymoon money. The color drained from Diane's face, then flooded back in a mottled red. That's a ridiculous accusation. How dare you? She drew herself up, adopting her usual imperious posture. I would never do such a thing. You're clearly overwrought. Maybe you should sit down. Overwrought. Chloe's voice rose, echoing off the high ceilings. You stole from us. You took the money we saved for years, for the trip that was supposed to be the start of our life together, and you blew it on a purse. She stepped closer, invading Diane's personal space. Show me your phone. Show me the bank transfer. Show me the receipt from luxury consignment. Diane recoiled, her composure cracking. This is an invasion of my privacy. I won't be spoken to like this in my own home. Then you won't mind proving me wrong, will you? Chloe challenged, her voice dangerously low. Unless you can't. The standoff stretched, taut as a bowstring. Diane's eyes darted around, avoiding Chloe's piercing gaze. The facade was crumbling. Finally, with a petulant sigh, she pulled her phone from the pocket of her designer tracksuit. Her fingers trembled slightly as she navigated the screen. She thrust it towards Chloe. See? Nothing. You're being hysterical. Chloe snatched the phone. Her eyes scanned the screen rapidly. Then she froze. A slow, cold smile spread across her lips, devoid of any warmth. Really, Diane? Nothing? She turned the phone towards me. There it was. The transfer confirmation. $10,000 to Luxury Consignment Limited dated 2 days ago. Below it, a text message confirmation from the store. Diane, your vintage Chanel 19 classic flat bag in black caviar leather with gold hardware is ready for collection. Enjoy your investment. Diane's face crumpled. It was an investment. For you. For your future. These things appreciate. Chloe laughed, a harsh, grating sound. My future? Our future was in Greece, Diane. Not in some overpriced sack of leather you can clutch to feel important. You didn't do it for me. You did it for you. Like you always do. She threw the phone onto a plush velvet chaise lounge. It bounced harmlessly. You took something sacred, something that represented hope and love and hard work, and you traded it for status. For a thing. The words hung in the air, heavy with finality. Diane's defiance evaporated, replaced by a desperate, wheedling tone. Chloe, sweetheart, please. I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I was weak. The bag was so beautiful, and it was such a good deal. I thought I could pay it back before you noticed. I was going to. Pay it back. Chloe's voice was icy. With what? The allowance I give you every month to help with groceries? The money I send for your unexpected car repairs? The money you guilt-trip me out of because your pension doesn't stretch far enough? Each question was a hammer blow. Diane flinched. That's different. That's family. This was an impulse. No, Diane, Chloe said, her voice dropping to a terrifyingly calm level. This is family. This is who you are. Someone who takes, who uses, who prioritizes her own selfish desires over the happiness of her own daughter, over her daughter's marriage. She took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. The transformation was complete. The tearful bride was gone. In her place stood a woman forged in betrayal, radiating an unshakable resolve. So, here's what's going to happen. Effective immediately, the financial support stops. All of it. Diane's eyes widened in genuine horror. Chloe, no, you can't. I have bills, medications, the house. You have a pension. Chloe cut in, her voice like steel. You have Social Security. You have a house that's paid off. You will manage. Or you won't. That's no longer my problem. But the car payment. The insurance. Diane pleaded, tears welling in her eyes now, real tears of panic. You'll figure it out, Chloe stated flatly. Maybe sell one of your investments. She gestured vaguely towards the direction of the infamous closet. This isn't just about the money, Diane. Though God knows, that's bad enough. It's about the violation. It's about the disrespect. It's about you looking at me, at us, and seeing nothing more than a resource to be tapped. Well, the well is dry. You drained it when you bought that bag. She turned towards the door. I followed, my heart pounding with a mixture of horror at the scene and fierce pride in my wife. Chloe, wait. Diane scrambled after us, grabbing Chloe's arm. Please, we can work this out. I'll return the bag. I swear. Chloe stopped. She turned slowly, looking down at her mother's hand on her arm, then up into her desperate face. Return the bag, she echoed softly. Do you really think that fixes it? Do you think returning the bag gives us back the excitement of planning? The anticipation? The memories we'll never make because you decided your desire for a status symbol was more important than our happiness? She gently but firmly removed Diane's hand. The bag is yours, Diane. A permanent reminder of the choice you made. Wear it in good health. But know that every time you look at it, you'll be looking at the reason you have no daughter left to bleed dry. She walked out, not looking back. I followed, closing the heavy front door softly behind us, shutting in the sound of Diane's frantic, broken sobs. The drive home was silent, but the air was different. The dread was gone, replaced by a profound, quiet sadness, but also a steely sense of closure. Chloe stared out the window, her profile illuminated by passing streetlights. She looked exhausted, but unbroken. Are you okay? I asked softly, reaching over to squeeze her knee. She turned to me, a ghost of a weary smile touching her lips. No, she admitted honestly. But I will be. It had to be done, Mark. She would never stop. Never. I know, I said. I'm so proud of you. She leaned her head against my shoulder. What about Greece? She whispered, the vulnerability returning. The money. I took her hand. We'll figure it out. Maybe not this year. Maybe not the whole month. But we'll get there. We'll save again. Together. Our dream isn't dead. Just delayed. She squeezed my hand. Together, she echoed. The next few weeks were a strange limbo. Diane tried everything. Floods of tearful voicemails. Accusatory texts calling Chloe ungrateful, cruel, abandoning her own mother in her time of need. Guilt-tripping messages about how she'd sacrificed everything for Chloe. Chloe listened to none of it. She blocked the number. She changed the passwords on all their joint accounts Diane had never contributed to, but had always felt entitled to access. The silence from Diane's end was initially unnerving, then liberating. We focused on us. We budgeted fiercely. We canceled the elaborate Greek itinerary but started planning a smaller, more manageable trip, maybe a week hiking in national parks later that year. It wasn't Greece, but it was ours. Then, about a month after the cutoff, came the knock on our apartment door. It was late. We were curled up on the sofa, watching a movie. Chloe tensed. I wanted the peephole. Diane. She looked different. Haunted. The designer tracksuit was replaced by faded jeans and a simple sweater. Her hair was unkempt. The perpetual aura of entitlement was gone, replaced by a palpable desperation. Chloe took a deep breath and opened the door. Diane stood there, clutching a large, distinctive shopping bag from Luxury Consignment Limited. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her face pale. Chloe, she whispered, her voice hoarse. Please. She held out the bag. I brought it back, just like I promised. Take it. Sell it. Get your money back. Chloe looked at the bag, then at her mother's face. There was no triumph in her eyes, only a deep, weary sadness. It's too late for that, Diane. But the money, Diane insisted, her voice cracking. You can have it back. We can pretend this never happened. Chloe shook her head slowly. We can't. And I don't want the bag. I don't want anything from you that came from that money. It's tainted. Diane's shoulders slumped in defeat. What do you want then? Chloe, please. I'm lost. The bills. I had to sell my car. The insurance. I can't afford it. The house is too big. I'm scared. For the first time, Chloe saw not the manipulative matriarch, but a frightened, lonely old woman. The anger didn't vanish, but it was momentarily overshadowed by a profound sense of pity. I want you to understand, Chloe said, her voice quiet but firm. I want you to understand why I did this. It wasn't just about the bag. It was about the pattern. It was about you always putting yourself first, always expecting me to clean up your messes, always taking without asking. It was about you stealing our joy. Diane looked down at her worn sneakers. I think I do, she mumbled. Too late. Maybe, Chloe conceded. But understanding is the first step. The next step is figuring out how to live with the consequences of your choices. Without me. Without my money. She stepped back slightly. You need to downsize, Diane. Sell the house. Move somewhere manageable. Live within your means. It won't be easy, but it's necessary. And maybe then you'll start to see the value in things that aren't price tagged. Diane looked up, tears streaming freely down her cheeks. Can I call you sometimes? Just to talk? Chloe hesitated. A long silence stretched. Maybe, she said finally. But not about money. ever again. And if I sense manipulation, if I feel like you're trying to guilt me, the conversation ends. Immediately. And the phone gets blocked again. Permanently. Diane nodded frantically. Okay, I understand. Thank you. Thank you, Chloe. She placed the shopping bag with the Chanel inside it carefully on the doormat. Here, just take it. Please. I don't want it anymore. She turned and walked away, her steps slow and heavy down the apartment hallway. Chloe picked up the bag. It felt heavy, absurdly so. She carried it inside and placed it on the kitchen table. We stared at it. The symbol of the betrayal. The source of so much pain. What should we do with it? I asked. Chloe looked at it for a long moment. A slow, deliberate smile spread across her face. It wasn't a happy smile. It was fierce, vindictive, cathartic. I have an idea, she said. She went to the junk drawer and pulled out a pair of heavy-duty scissors. Then, she took the bag out of its protective dust cover. The black caviar leather gleamed under the kitchen light. The gold hardware shimmered. It was beautiful, undeniably. It was also a monument to selfishness. Chloe held it up. This, she said, her voice ringing with finality, is not an investment. It's a liability. And with a swift, powerful motion, she plunged the scissors into the soft leather near the clasp. The sound was shocking, a sharp rip. She pulled the scissors apart, tearing a jagged gash in the pristine bag. She did it again, and again, ripping, shredding, destroying. The gold chain strap snapped. The lining tore. The beautiful, coveted bag was reduced to a mangled heap of leather and metal on our scratched kitchen table. It was violent. It was unnecessary. It was utterly, completely satisfying. When she was done, Chloe stood breathing heavily, the scissors dangling from her hand. She looked at the wreckage, then at me. The fire in her eyes had burned down to embers, but the resolve was still there, stronger than ever. Done, she said, her voice steady. It's done. And in that moment, watching the remnants of the stolen dream lie destroyed on our table, I knew it wasn't just about the money, or the bag, or even Greece. It was about reclaiming power. It was about drawing a line in the sand so bright and so deep that no one, not even blood, could ever cross it again. It was about Chloe finally, irrevocably, choosing us, choosing herself. And as I wrapped my arms around my fierce, incredible wife, I knew our real adventure, building a life unburdened by toxic expectations, was just beginning.